The confirmed number of new coronavirus cases reported in Los Angeles County over the past 24 hours is 22,688, with 37 additional deaths. Here in Torrance, 192 additional cases were reported with no new deaths. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Rhiannon Trutanich. It's Tuesday, January 18th. California passed 7 million COVID-19 cases just 1 week after it tallied 6 million cases. It's the state's fastest rise in reported infections during the pandemic. And here in LA County, new coronavirus cases went up nearly tenfold compared to 1 month ago. On December 17th, the county's Department of Public Health counted 3,360 new cases. Also rising exponentially is the daily positivity rate, which is currently 16.5%, more than 8 times that from mid-December. There are currently more than 4,500 people with COVID-19 hospitalized throughout LA County, nearly 6 times compared to a month ago. Public health officials say the good news is that while hospitalizations continue to climb, data shows that many positive cases are admitted for reasons other than COVID-19. They just test positive once at the hospital. But the Public Health Department also noted that while the number of children hospitalized with the virus remains low, it's still significantly increased over the past month, with the largest spike seen in children younger than 5. The county also saw its highest coronavirus death rate in nearly 10 months over the past week, with an average of 40 deaths per day. Americans can now order free COVID-19 tests through the U.S. Postal Service. Residential households can order 1 set of 4 free tests to be delivered to their homes. The website is special.usps.com/test kits. There is a limit of 1 order per address. That order includes 4 individual rapid antigen COVID-19 tests. They're expected to ship out starting late January. The free test kits are a part of President Biden's plan to distribute 1 billion rapid tests. A separate order from the government for private insurance companies to cover the cost of the antigen coronavirus tests is also now in effect. The companies must reimburse people for buying up to 8 tests per month. This reimbursement only applies to tests purchased after the rule went into effect on January 15th. The tests must also be authorized for use by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. To see a full list, go to fda.gov and search COVID test. New workplace rules in California are now in effect. They include changes related to coronavirus testing and wearing masks. Employees will no longer be able to self-test at home. COVID-19 tests will have to be administered in front of a healthcare representative, a supervisor, or be done at a lab. Face coverings at the workplace need to be upgraded to a surgical mask, a medical mask, a respirator, or a tightly woven fabric or non-woven material of at least 2 layers. There are also recent changes to who gets sent home after a COVID-19 exposure. Those who are unvaccinated or vaccinated and booster eligible but not boosted must stay home for at least 5 days and get tested on day 5. Those who got boosted or are vaccinated but not yet eligible for a booster are not recommended to stay home but are told to test on day 5 as well, while wearing a mask, a well-fitting mask, around others for 10 days. The new rules are a bit complex, so read the details at cdph.ca.gov. An infant with COVID-19 died in Riverside County last week, becoming the youngest person in the region to die from the virus. The child was younger than 1 and died at a hospital after becoming ill. It is unclear if the infant had any underlying health issues. Riverside County Public Health Officer Jeffrey Lung says this loss reminds us that the virus does not discriminate between the young and the old, and shows the importance of using tools available to protect those around us, especially those who are the most innocent. The previous youngest death from the virus in Riverside County was a 4-year-old child who died in August. Health officials say more than 5,600 people in Riverside County died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic, though the majority of them are over the age of 30. Health officials have said that infants under 1 might be at higher risk of severe illness with COVID-19 than older children, likely due to their immature immune systems and smaller airways, making them more likely to develop breathing issues with respiratory virus infections. The U.S. Surgeon General says the Omicron surge has not yet peaked nationwide. While areas that were among the first to get hit hard by the new variant are starting to see their numbers level off or drop, Dr. Vivek Murthy says that is not the case for other parts of the country. He says the challenge is that the entire nation is not moving at the same pace. The Omicron wave began later in other parts of the U.S., so he says we should not expect a national peak in the coming days, and we should rather brace for a tough few weeks ahead. The country saw an average of more than 750,000 new COVID-19 infections every day over the past week, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. That means Americans at work, school, and elsewhere face a higher risk of exposure that is unparalleled during the pandemic. Deaths also increased in recent days nationally, with nearly 1,800 reported on Sunday. About 156,000 people were hospitalized then as well, and doctors expect numbers to climb. They also say that staff shortages remain a big problem nationwide and anticipate continued challenges for many more weeks. Rail thefts have spiked in LA County. Thieves are getting onto cargo trains, breaking into containers, stealing packages, and leaving quite a mess around the tracks. Railroad company Union Pacific says such crimes increased by 160% in the county over the past year. This has become a bigger problem over the past 3 months during the busy holiday season. The company says on average, thieves compromised more than 90 containers every day. The rails are littered with debris from the packages and merchandise that never made it to the warehouse facilities around the U.S. The railroad mobilized an aggressive response to the thefts, adding officers to commonly targeted areas and even dispatching drones for extra surveillance. Workers cleaning up the tracks say the crimes are taking place in broad daylight. Union Pacific agents detailed hundreds of people in connection with the thefts, but fewer than half of them were booked, and some were released in less than 24 hours. The company sent a letter to LA County District Attorney George Gascon asking for action to deal with the spiraling crisis of organized and opportunistic criminal rail theft. Other crimes in LA County are also on the rise. Auto thefts and homicides spiked from 2019 to 2021 in areas policed by the LA County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Alex Villanueva says homicides jumped by more than 94%, while grand theft auto saw a 65% increase. In 2019, the sheriff's office counted 145 homicides in 2019, 199 in 2020, then 281 in 2021. There was also a 14% increase in aggravated assaults during the 2-year period. Sheriff Villanueva says a lot of these have to do with the pandemic and the changing societal patterns of behavior, such as who is at home and who is not. For example, he says, it wasn't a big surprise that home burglaries saw a more than 19% drop since everybody has been home. He says 2019 statistics reflect a pre-pandemic world, while 2021 included the winter surge in COVID-19 cases that prompted restrictions on businesses and gatherings. The sheriff says the data will be made available at lasd.org/transparency and on social media. Major U.S. airlines are sounding the alarm of a big change coming soon and potentially affecting a lot of traveling Americans and goods. The chief executives of major U.S. passenger and cargo carriers say an impending catastrophic aviation crisis may take place on Wednesday when AT&T and Verizon are set to deploy a new 5G service. The airlines say the new C-band 5G service could potentially make a significant number of wide-body aircraft unusable and could strand tens of thousands of Americans overseas. Chief executives at American, Delta, United, Southwest, and other airlines wrote, quote, "Unless our major hubs are clear to fly, the vast majority of the traveling and shipping public will essentially be grounded." The Federal Aviation Administration has warned that potential interference could affect sensitive airplane instruments, such as altimeters, and impact low visibility operations. The airlines say during one day, more than 1,100 flights and about 100,000 passengers would be faced with cancellations, diversions, or delays. The letter, also signed by FedEx Express and UPS Airlines, added that action is urgent and, to be blunt, the nation's commerce will grind to a halt. AT&T and Verizon won nearly all of the C-band spectrum in an $80 billion auction last year and agreed earlier this month to buffer zones around 50 airports to reduce interference risks. They're also taking other steps to cut potential interference for 6 months. And just today, the company said they will delay launching their new wireless service near key airports, but it is unclear at this time how many locations are affected and how long those delays would last. Verizon blamed airlines and the FAA, saying they have not been able to fully resolve navigating 5G around airports, although it is working in more than 40 countries. The FAA says an estimated 45% of the U.S. commercial airplane fleet are cleared to perform low-visibility landings at many airports where 5G C-band will be deployed. The Torrance City Council will not meet tonight as it is a previously scheduled dark night. The next meeting will take place on Tuesday, January 25th. The public is invited to join the conversation tonight with city leaders and learn more about maintaining essential city services during these unprecedented times. The city will host a live Zoom meeting starting at 6 p.m. featuring city leaders who will provide information and answer questions from the public about the different challenges the city is facing, its financial situation, and the potential sales tax ballot measure. Now, in case you missed the conversation yesterday, Citi Cable's Christine Lee had an exclusive interview with City Manager Aram Shaparian to talk about what to expect tonight.
As the city faces budget challenges, maintaining essential services continues to be a top priority. And like many California cities, the cost of maintaining our high-quality city services continues to go up, and it's currently exceeding our city's available revenue. This was true before COVID-19, but the pandemic has made the problem much worse. And tomorrow, Torrance City Manager Aram Shaparian, Police Chief Jeremiah Hart, Fire Chief Martin Cerna, and Torrance Finance Director Sheila Poisson will host a public workshop called Join the Conversation in the hopes of educating the community about what's at stake. And with us today is City Manager Aram Shaparian to share why the public should tune in tomorrow. Hi Aram, thanks so much for chatting with us.
Hi Christine, thank you for the opportunity.
So let's get right to it. What are some of the biggest challenges the City of Torrance is facing right now?
Thank you, Christine. The biggest challenge the city is facing is our revenues have not kept up with expenses. The challenges go back to the initial recession we experienced in 2008 as we continue to reduce city services and through reorganizations and budget efficiencies continue to provide quality services. We experienced several challenges since then, including the refinery, as well as the renovation of the mall. We experienced a shift of sales tax from brick and mortar to online. And then recently, we've had our pension challenges with CalPERS adjusting investment returns. And then recently, the pandemic completely erased our reliance on reserves since we had to utilize reserves to continue to provide essential public services.
Yeah, it was difficult to learn that this pandemic has made the financial situation a lot worse with our emergency reserves being depleted as well. Can you shed some light on how big of an impact COVID-19 has had on our local economy?
Sure. In Torrance, we rely on sales tax as our number one source of revenue, followed by property tax, utility user tax, business license, and hotel tax. With the reliance on sales tax as a number one revenue, when the LA County, due to the health officer's order, went on complete quarantine and shutdown, we experienced a closure of Del Amo Fashion Center, being the second largest shopping center in California and a significant revenue generator, as well as reduction of car sales, both due to the health officer orders as well as a chip shortage, had a significant impact. The Torrance hotels generate significant revenue and visitors to our area, and hotels had occupancies down to less than half. And those were significant factors in city's budget, while we still, again, back to the point, we had to continue to provide services. And we experienced our own health challenges with employees being out due to COVID-19 positivity or quarantining, and taking care of their family. And obviously that was the health of our community and our employees was a paramount concern.
Yeah. And while one-time federal COVID-19 relief has helped carry us through for some time, that funding will soon expire and leave the city vulnerable to an emergency or unforeseen major expenses. What kind of events are we talking about?
Sure. In California, we are accustomed to earthquakes. Anytime there's a major natural disaster, that's an eventuality which impacts our revenue. However, we can't shut down the services of the city. We have to continue to provide. There's concerns with the fluctuation in the stock market. I know there's inflationary challenges that we're facing now, as well as the potential changes in the housing market. We've been experiencing significant price increases in housing. Those are all vulnerabilities that the city has to address, and the uncertainties are the new certainty. And I think for the city to continue to maintain its vitality as a premier full-service city, we have to be mindful, as well as we have to be mindful of potential challenges dealing with cybersecurity, as well as the litigation environment and the impacts that has on our bottom line as far as being able to meet our revenue projections to continue providing services.
Mm-hmm. And budget cuts, unfortunately, are going to happen and impact every single department. For a Torrance resident, what does this look like and how will this affect them?
Sure. With the pandemic, as you mentioned earlier, the American Recovery Act provided Torrance with $24 million over a 2-year period in 2 chunks. So we received $12 million for this fiscal year. We'll receive $12 million next fiscal year. It's almost a lifeline to help us bridge the gap of our fiscal deficiency. We're also projecting a long-term fiscal deficit, which made the necessity for immediate cuts absolutely critical. For last year, we reduced our budget 11.5%, 5 additional percent for this fiscal year. However, we did delay the public safety, police and fire cuts with the potential sales tax measure consideration by City Council next month in February. As far as immediate impacts, most Torrance residents will probably notice we continue providing services. However, with staffing shortages in public safety, especially in police, we're shifting our personnel from support services like community affairs or detectives, mental health team, homeless response, to providing essential 911 services in patrol. Now, we are with the budget cuts pending for this current fiscal year, we may have to delete up to 41 positions in the police department. Mind you, some of those are vacancies through attrition. We do have individuals on their way to retirement, but once we reduce those services, all the support functions which are critical to what makes Torrance unique will be eliminated. And that's at least in police. In the case of fire, we've had challenges because fire is an essential first responders in the COVID response. We've experienced our own firefighters, our own city family experiencing the effects of COVID-19 while maintaining paramedic response. And in Torrance, because of the support of City Council and the mayor and the community, we're able to implement our own paramedic response transport, which helped us alleviate the strains which most communities in LA County felt with the lack of ambulances. Working with our hospitals, we continue to provide service. Should we continue to make the reductions in this upcoming budget, we will be taking out 1 rescue unit from service, and that will have an impact on the quality of life and safety.
Mm-hmm. So to wrap it up, why is it important for Torrance business owners and residents to join the conversation with you and other city leaders?
As Torrance residents, businesses, visitors, community members, we all have a vested interest in the success of Torrance. Through our joint conversation efforts, we've received feedback from over 3,000 residents, and we appreciate that very much. The goal for the webinar is to be open and transparent. We want to share the challenges. And at the webinar, I'll be joined by Police Chief Jay Hart, Fire Chief Martin Cerna, as well as our Finance Director, Sheila Poisson. And I want the community to come in and hear firsthand our challenges and opportunities and what we're experiencing with staffing shortages, with employee fatigue, being overstretched. I think having that firsthand knowledge and opening a dialogue with our community will help explain and hopefully alleviate some of the misunderstanding or give folks a sense of comfort that they're hearing from the city management. Again, I am very thankful to Mayor and Council for all their support during a very challenging, now we're coming up on 2 years. Our city employees for continuing to be dedicated to the principles of being public servants, and to our community for embracing all the changes in a very fast-paced, volatile environment. I just ask folks to please encourage your family and friends to join the conversation. We want to educate the public so they can understand all the moving pieces, understand the complexity of the issues, some of the framework of the legislative environments that created some of the challenges, and also to have the peace of mind that there are hardworking city employees 24/7 providing essential services, and we're dedicated to continue to make sure Torrance stays a vital community for those who work, live, and play here and visit Torrance.
Well, thank you so much again for chatting with us.
When I see the graphic.
Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you to our community.
Yes, and here is the information on the Zoom meeting again. To learn more and to sign up, just go to torranceca.gov/essential services.
Well, before we go, at the end of each program, we like to share feel-good stories from our community. Pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. The Saddleback Church grocery distribution is getting ready for another free food drive-through. If you know someone who needs help, volunteers will be out to hand out free groceries on Monday, January 24th from 9 to 11 a.m. at Bolero, located at 21915 West Western Avenue in Torrance. No reservation is required, but be prepared for potentially long lines. This is a drive and park food pantry, so families are to remain in their vehicles. They say everything is set up for your safety, and for any questions, you can reach out to Debbie at debbieh@saddlebackvolunteer.com. What a generous way to show how Torrance truly cares. Now, if you have a great story, an upcoming event, a photo or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow as Christine Lee brings you the latest. Be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.